Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Smarketing CONNECT podcast. I'm your host and one of the co-founders here at Smarketing CONNECT, Tom Libby. And today I have with me a kind of cool guest, Barry. And as I do typically with these things, Barry, I don't do a lot of intro stuff. I'll let you do that for yourself because you know yourself better than I do. So Barry,
I'm still trying to figure all of that out. So
why don't you give us a brief introduction of who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thanks, Tom, and appreciate the invite to be here. And hi, everyone. So my name is Barry Braunstein. I do headshot photography, Barry Braunstein Photography, based in Wellesley, but I go on location. And I do headshots and portraits for individuals and businesses that people actually like. It's a weird concept because I talk to so many people who say, yeah, I hate my headshot and all this other stuff. And so I'm trying to turn that up on its ear and provide headshots that people actually love. And I guarantee you'll have fun in the process too, because most people would rather have root canal.
I can probably vouch for that. I've never had a headshot with you, but just talking with you, I can imagine your photo shoots are fun. So,
Yep.
so tell us about the types of companies you like working with. Are they particular size, shape? You know, what do the companies look like, or does it not matter?
Sure, it really doesn't matter. But having said that, there are some sweet spots that of companies that come to me, all sizes. So I've worked with multinational companies, I've worked with solopreneurs, I've worked with nonprofits. In fact, I just got a contract to work with a nonprofit. Lawyers, doctors, healthcare providers, biotech, high tech, companies with multiple locations, remote offices actually are very good because I belong to a network of headshot photographers around the world. And we shoot in a similar style because we all learned under this one person who's phenomenal. And so I can provide companies that have remote locations. I can put them in touch with other photographers, and the work will be, look, you couldn't tell the difference. And that's very important for larger companies who want to have consistency in their headshots, but have remote offices and people who they only see maybe once a year or what have you. So it's kind of all over the map. But anyone who's concerned about their digital footprint, and their website, and particularly services-oriented companies, where people are the product, those are the ones that are typically very, very interested and aware that they need good headshots.
Very cool. So this is this question I ask a lot of our sales and marketing professionals and I know photography is like right on the outskirts of that, falling into the category of sales and marketing, but I'm going to ask you anyway, because I think that it's fascinating to hear the answers for some of these people. But if you could think of, a must-have tool for small businesses, and this is really geared towards small businesses, and it doesn't have to be software or anything like that, but small businesses have a tendency to have a lot of gaps in their areas of expertise. So using small business tools has a tendency to help them out. Do you have one that you really like that you would recommend to people?
I always stretch questions into, if they give me one choice, I'm going to take two. So, so from a software perspective, and I have a long career in high-tech sales and marketing prior to doing this, I hated CRM systems because most of our clients, we had a handful of clients who were big ticket items and we knew who they were and, Now that I'm in this business, I actually decided to implement a CRM system, at least at some level, not fully all in, just to track deals and leads and conversations and emails and proposals and reminders and all of that stuff. So I use HubSpot, but the free version of HubSpot. And it's been a lifesaver because when I have a conversation with a client, I just go in, I write the notes down, what they're looking for, when they want it, all of the key questions that I ask when I start engaging with a business who's a potential client. And then I set reminders and everything. And now I don't have to have all these little notes all over the place with conversations that I have. It's in one place. And it keeps me, I wouldn't say sane because you have to be insane to be doing this, but it keeps things much more organized. So I'm a believer now of this kind of thing, CRM systems for a small business.
Very cool. And I second that, by the way. So if you're not using a CRM, even if you're a solopreneur, you probably should be.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so this question again is another one that's very in by most people's roles and titles and what they do for a living, we can kind of get some insight as to the answer to this question, but I'd like to go a little bit deeper with it. When you ask, so I asked, what challenges do small business owners usually ask you to come in to solve? And I think yours is pretty obvious, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't quite that obvious that they just need a good looking headshot. Is there something deeper that happens when you have these conversations?
Yes and no. So sometimes they want more than headshots. They want to up their brand, and they want to get some office environmental shots, people working and stuff like that. But most of the time it is headshots. And the problem that I solve is usually that they've, like I said earlier, is they can't stand the headshots that they have. It's like, I've never seen an industry where there's so many people who don't like the way they look, and they don't like the headshots. And, I come in, and I think part of it is that helping people feel comfortable in front of the camera is a big part of that, but also actually discussing with clients, what do they want out of their headshots? What's the message that they want to deliver? What's their branding and stuff? And I think a lot of photographers or prior experiences that people have, the guy or woman just shows up with the camera, an umbrella and a flash, and they just start shooting. And then they don't get what they want. So I think the problem that I solve is not just providing headshots, really great headshots, but also headshots that fit within a brand and are consistent and amplify the brand, right? And so that the clients look at that and say, yeah, that just fits with who we are.
Perfect. So, so all that being said, and again, you've seen some experiences with bad photographers, right? And I'm assuming that you become at least on some level, a trusted advisor to your clients. If they ever came to you and asked you for advice on hiring a sales and or marketing consultant to come in, what kind of advice would you give them to look for in their sales and marketing consultants?
Having done this, so even though I've got a sales and marketing background, it's really hard to do that for yourself sometimes, and you need some help. So I've actually had help both in designing my website and helping me with SEO and stuff. The thing that I look for is what their approach is, and I want to talk to them about, how do they approach this? What's their process? And look for things that sound like either A, they're overselling. Are they overstating what they can do, and oh yeah, you're going to be on the first page of Google in a week, and all this other kind of bullshit. And then also to hear if they talk about strategy, because I'm a firm believer in, if you don't get the strategy right, the tactics are going to be meaningless. People just flail, and small businesses in particular, they just start doing, well, I'm posting on Facebook and I'm running ads and I'm doing this, that, and the other thing. And there's no strategy behind it, right? It doesn't, they haven't started with who their customer is, where their customer hangs out, what's their positioning, how do they, what's the real problems that their customers have, all of that stuff. And then how does your marketing plan and your sales tactics and strategies, fit into all of that? So I look for consultants that have a strategic thinking, a strategic approach. And then also, if they tell me, look, we bring in experts to do this, that, and the other thing, I'm good with that, because I'd rather them be really good at a narrower thing and then they recognize that they need to bring in experts as needed, as opposed to, yeah, I can do everything from SEO to website to copy to this, that, and the other thing. Jack of all trades, master of none.
True. All right, so this is my favorite part of the podcast here, Barry. I love asking this question because it really gets to the deep insights of the soul of people. So, but it also, it's because it's funny, and I have a tendency to be a funny person. But this question is not to do with sales and marketing at all. It's really,
okay.
So I just want to know, if you could be a superhero, Barry, who would it be, and tell us why?
Abbott and Costello, but I'm dating myself, and they're not superheroes or comedians.
Yeah, right.
Again, I'm dating myself here, but I'd probably say Superman. And the reason for that is number one, he gets the girl. Number two, he's really built, and number three, he's got a lot of the powers that some of the other superheroes have. It's kind of like an all-in-one thing. He can see through things, he can go fast, he's strong, he's got x-ray vision, he's got this heat ray thing that comes out of his, but he gets the girl. And that's, it's been a story of my life. I got my girl finally, 20 some odd years ago, and I'm, knock on wood and everything. But, I know I struggled before then. So if I was a superhero, I wouldn't have any problems getting the girl.
Got it. So what,
I don't believe I said that.
Well, like I said, I like asking that question because it's meant to be a little funny, and it gives people some insights to the type of personalities we have. So
I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about that, Tom. Just
I would imagine not. Actually, most people don't. Yeah. It's my favorite question because it usually surprises people.
I love it.
So this part of the podcast is that we're basically wrapping this up at the end, and one of the things that we love to do here at Smarketing Connect is give a shout out to people that we've worked with in the past who are in sales and marketing that we thought did a really, really nice job. And it also gives me kind of a target to go after for somebody who should be on the podcast. So
sure.
Do you have anybody anybody like that in your world, that a sales and marketing professional that you thought did a really nice job with you, and maybe a collaborative effort type thing, and you just really want to give them a good shout out?
I have three.
Well,
I have to choose one
for three, but you
can
go one or two. Give me one or two.
I'll give you one or two. So one of them is Crush It Marketing with Christine and Brian Jones. They're the ones who do a lot of that strategic stuff that I've talked about. They're doing some work for me, and I'm just very impressed. They're one of the few companies that I've heard, or consultants that I've heard, that actually go and travel to seminars on their craft to keep up with the latest trends and things. And that to me was very impressive. And then Susan McDonald's doing a great job with Diversified Sales Solutions. She's doing a lot of work on LinkedIn. She's really getting out there and everything. I've worked with her a little bit and am impressed.
So say their names again one more time for me. So it's
sure. Crush It Marketing. That's with a K. Yep. That's Christine and Brian Jones.
And then
Susan McDonald with Diversified Sales Solutions.
Perfect. Well, that's the time we have for this podcast. Barry, thank you so much for being on with me. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoy these things, and having guests like you make it worth it for me. So I appreciate it very much. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for inviting me. This was a blast. Thank you.
And thank you everybody for watching. And as always, keep selling.